Welcome to the Vinny Rock Podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Vinny Rock Podcast, and I got my friend with me. I'm not gonna use your name because this can get really weird, right?
Yeah. That's probably a better idea.
What do you want me to call you? I'm gonna call you Mr. Strange. Let's just do that.
All right, that sounds good.
That's good.
All right, I'll be Mr. Strange for the evening.
Mr. Strange for the evening. All right, guys, what's going on? You guys know this podcast can't be, obviously wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for our beautiful sponsors. One of my favorites, obviously, is Warfighting Tobacco. You haven't smoked Warfighting Tobacco cigar yet, huh?
No, I've not.
Okay, you're a smoker? You're a cigar smoker?
Yeah.
Here and there?
Yeah, a
Are
little
you a
bit,
cigarette smoker?
Definitely not a cigarette smoker, but I get down on
You'll
a
get
cigar.
down on a cigar. Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, it's a different
I think
story.
I've smoked like 6 cigarettes in my entire life. I mean, so many that I remember every time, right? That's all.
Yeah, I think I've had 2, actually.
Right.
Yeah, well, 1.5. With the
Were
second
you just
one
like trying it? You're like, And I didn't even try it as a kid. I wasn't one of those kids that like was just like curious. As an adult, I'm like, all right, give me that damn cigarette. Let me try this. And then you're like, what the fuck? That's worthless.
I did it just because I felt left out. Everyone around me. It's like, everyone else is
I didn't do
doing
it.
it.
So cigars, though, that's a whole different story.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a celebratory thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're just celebrating life sometimes, just smoking a cigar.
Exactly.
So, Warfighting Tobacco, that's one of my companies, and obviously a sponsor of the podcast. Nicolina cigars. These cigars are amazing. We have all these new blends coming out. We have all these new blends that are available now, including the Victory Blend. The Victory Blend is kind of a little higher class one. It's a really smooth. It's actually my favorite cigar I've ever smoked, and will continue to be until I get my own signature series cigar out. So, Warfighting Tobacco, you guys check them out. I believe the promo code for that, man, you know what? I always mess this up. The promo code, you can get a % off. Promo code is Vinny Rock, and I believe it is 11% off. Vinny Rock, 11% off. Go check it out. They're amazing cigars. My boys, just some cool dudes, and soon we're gonna have some long bike rides because we're riding bike together now. Well, I'm learning. Obviously, I had to. You can talk, man. This is just free. Just do whatever. Like, don't feel nervous. I see Mr. Strange is a little nervous.
I'm getting warmed up.
Yeah, get warmed
up.
up.
How do you make it this far in life without riding a motorcycle?
Well, so the true story is I crashed on a Vespa when I was like 12, and so I just got nervous to even get back on one.
So you're traumatized.
Yeah, the military did a course one time where I was learning how to ride a dirt bike, but as soon as I had the chance to get off it, I got off, and I never really learned. I kept it in first gear and just rolled out. You know what I mean? It was for like a recon thing. I don't know. Another one of our sponsors is Lisa Beds. You guys know the Lisa mattresses. Have you heard of those?
Oh, yeah.
It's like
heard of it.
Dude,
I hear they're amazing. Everyone I've talked to that actually has one is blown away, and they sound like a salesman.
Hands down, yeah, exactly. That's what I feel like, a salesman every time I'm doing it. But again, Lisa Beds, it's one of the best beds I've ever. It's actually the best bed I've ever had in my life. Me and my wife talk about it all the time. I'm gonna actually have her on the podcast, and I can't wait to see what she says because it's unscripted. I just want to let her just talk about how comfortable that bed is. It's insane. We try and sit down and watch a movie or a show. There's a few shows we watch, and every time we turn it on, it's like, dude, we're out in like 30 minutes, bro. It's crazy. But the Lisa mattress, you guys check it out. I think the promo code on that again is Vinny Rock. You get $200 off of one of the larger beds and 100% another bed. I don't freaking know. Go check it out. If you guys have questions, let me know. Last but not least, I'm just gonna throw this out. Let's see. Combat flip flops. 2 former Army Rangers and a bass player. They're making cool shit in dangerous places. If you guys don't know their story, go check out Combat Flip Flops. They actually got their name pretty big after. Remember Shark Tank? You know Shark Tank?
Yeah.
They were on Shark Tank, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I believe Mark Cuban bought into their company. And since then, it's done very well. It's 2 Army Rangers that I've worked with personally. One of them saved my career because I lost my rifle one day when I was doing a land nav course as a new soldier, and he picked it up for me. It was kind of a lucky day for me. And then the other one was an FO, one very experienced FO, which is a forward observer. Essentially, he can drop bombs if you need him to in any serious location, and got out and just did the business thing and has been doing that very successful. So you guys check out anything Combat Flip Flops. If you guys looking for a discount code there, the promo code is ROCCO30. That's ROCCO 30 for a discount on some amazing shit. And you got to hear about the story later another time. Pretty cool stuff. But besides that, I want to get into this. Why? Because I have a lot of people that really loved Strange Things 1. The Strange Things was a podcast we did, me and my partner Kaz, who's not here at the moment right now. He's working on El Vato, one of our businesses that we're doing, as well as beer.com. So he's up there in Idaho working on that because of all the craziness with Black Friday and the Christmas sales that are going on right now. And so we did this thing called Strange Things. And Strange Things was just talking about a lot of odd things that we run into in our days. I'm talking aliens, ghosts, right? Bigfoot, dare I say, right? So things that are just really odd. I mean, there was a cool story we talked about of these two children that were found that were green. Yeah, it's just this crazy story, and they spoke a whole different language. Their meal consisted of mainly beans, a type of bean, and then one of them ended up passing away because he just was malnourished, and the girl was able to eventually learn English and explain the backstory of where they came from, and it was essentially from the middle of the earth, just random place, and hard to understand, but things like that drive me crazy, and I love hearing these weird stories because for me, I don't know, maybe it's the unknown is that what excites me and slightly scares me that I enjoy. And so you guys listening, my partner here, Mr. Strange, we've sat down and talked quite a bit about a lot of different stuff, and I've always stopped him like, you know what, I don't want to hear it, man, because you get into the weeds with this guy, and he will tell you some stories from his experiences of work, and he has seen some stuff, and if you guys check out the Instagram, you've probably already seen, I uploaded that picture. And so I think it's pretty, so I mean, let's just start there. Let's start, so what is it with you and always running into stuff?
Well, you know, for one thing, what's always fascinated me about all these stories is that everyone always has a different takeaway from it. And I used to be really skeptical. Every time I heard somebody else's story, I tried to pick it apart. Yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, were you were intoxicated or what was going on? You know, there's always some, you think there's something else to the story.
Yeah, like I saw lights, like, it was just planes. Whatever.
But in my life, I've had a really rare opportunity to spend more time in the middle of nowhere than most people will ever do in their life.
So when you say in the middle of nowhere, what do you mean by that?
Meaning like dropped off by a helicopter for 18 weeks in the middle of the woods to fend for myself, like middle of nowhere.
Really?
I have spent a lot of time in the woods. I spent a lot of time camping. I've been, out in the desert where 2 weeks go by and I haven't seen a Jeep through binoculars in the distance. No interaction, no other people. Like I have been out there.
And so when you're in that kind of environment, you tend to see a lot more stuff that I've ever seen, right? The people that just don't get out there.
Yeah, and I feel like if you spend enough time outside and you spend enough time disconnected with no Wi-Fi and no cell service and you're just out there, you're going to see some stuff. And you may see some stuff anyway, but you just don't notice it. But when you slow down enough and you spend enough time in the quiet, you start to pick up on things. And
Goodness. Dude, so let me tell you, man. The picture I uploaded already onto Instagram, and if you guys who've not seen it yet, go check out the Instagram. It's just Vinny Rock on Instagram. I'll put it through Facebook and Twitter later. But it is a picture of what looks to me a giant footprint in, I guess it's kind of like mud, right? And just the shape of it alone. And the story behind this is we were just talking about it. He goes, check this out, right? And kind of threw it on me. And I looked at it. I was like, oh, I'm done. I don't want to see that shit no more. I'm good. I walked away. But this picture, it stuck in my head because, like, the patterns of a normal foot, a human foot, and even let's talk bear patterns, right? Like, the tracks that these things lay, a barefoot human. And what this imprint had was definitely very similar to what you've seen on any other Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, shows and sightings and whatnot. And so it fucked with my head, dude, because I'm like, what the fuck? This picture looks legit. How did you come about this picture?
Yeah. I'd say for one, Rocco literally walked away from me and didn't even want to hear my story.
I'm like, no, I'm good.
Normally I wouldn't show that picture till the story is done. But yeah, it was another one. I was in Alaska. Yeah. I was really far away from anything, right? And took a boat to this spot. There was an old cabin and an old smokehouse that you could see from the river, but there's no, on that side of the river, let's say exactly where it is, there is no road system. So there's no dog sled trails, there's no four-wheeler trails. You could get there, I guess, on a snow machine in the winter, but basically the only access is by boat. Yeah. So I'm basically out, I'm shooting a show. So we're out with cameras and, we're out shooting some stuff. And I take this other guy with me. We're going to call him Carlos. And rolling up with Carlos, and I'm like, oh man, let's go check out this old cabin. I've always been fascinated with just old structures and old cabins. People that built cabins before the age of chainsaws.
Yeah.
People that just went out there and like sold all their belongings and had a pilot just drop them in the middle of nowhere and built a cabin. And this is one of those spots. You know,
Yeah.
it's just really cool. People, you know, were pulling fish out of the river and smoking them. Somebody lived out there for a really long time, but no one's been there for a really long time. So anyway, I just wanted to go check out this cabin. I had somebody with me, so we pull up. We pull up on the beach, and we just kind of drive the boat into the mud, and I step off the boat and tie it up to a big driftwood pile, and we climb up the bank to go check out this cabin.
Yeah.
And immediately my buddy Carlos just starts getting weird, like spooky. Like, did you feel that? I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Relax. He's like, no, it's like a pocket of hot air, or like something's going on. You know, I'm like, dude, relax, man. Come on, let's go take some pictures. Check out this cabin. Like, what?
Was he normally like that?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
He's
so for some reason he just got like
he
the
just
heebie-jeebies.
got the heebie-jeebies, and so there was 2 structures on this property.
Yeah.
And I kind of walked ahead. I actually thought, I was like, man, that's the coolest outhouse I've ever seen.
Are you just
I'm like,
not afraid? Are you not afraid of this stuff?
Well, I guess I think my instincts would let me know if there was something going on, and I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling anything. I just thought, I was like, whatever, you know, it's all good.
But your
So-
partner, who doesn't normally feel these things, is starting to feel things.
And he's on high alert, and he's like, yo, there's somebody here. I'm like, bro. I'm like, not only is there nobody here, there's no tracks, no other boat. And the other thing is the mud is so the mud is so soft in that area. If you pull up with a boat, you can see the mark of the boat. You can see the footsteps.
Right.
They're there for a long time. It's
Yeah.
really soft, you know. So you pull up, you can tell no one's been there in a really long time. You
Yeah.
can tell by the leaves covering everything. Like, nobody's been there.
Yeah.
So we're walking around, and he had like 4 or 5 different moments where he's like, dude, you're getting too, you know, he's like spooked that I was getting too far away from him.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
he's like, yo, and at one point he's like, there's somebody here. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, Carlos, there's clearly nobody
Yeah,
here.
I
Like,
mean, you're in fresh snow. Obviously, you know how tracks you can see in fresh snow.
yeah. And this actually, Craig, this is actually fall time before the snow had fallen.
Before the snow.
So yeah, so it was all basically leaves and mud, and but he was just convinced that there was somebody there, and I'm like, dude, look at this. I'm like, the doors are boarded up on both the cabins, the windows are boarded up. You know,
Yeah.
you can tell the deck's all covered in leaves and everything's untouched. I'm like, there's clearly nobody here. He's like, dude, you need to check this building, man. There's somebody here. You know, so of course I like go into one, like, yo, hey, anybody here? Obviously there's nobody here, but I'm just entertaining him. He's just spooked, man. He's like, no, it's time to go. Let's get out of here. I'm like, dude, what's the hurry, man? Let's check. He's like, no, seriously, I'm ready to go. And he was like really spooked.
Yeah.
I kind of dragged him. I was kind of making fun of him. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, relax, man. It's all good. You know?
Right.
So we walk up to the main cabin. We kind of walk around. We're checking, just kind of checking out all the old artifacts and rusted
Yeah.
tools around the cabin. So anyway, kind of shorten the story. We wrap it up there. He finally convinces me it's time to go. I'm like, dude, you're being weird. Whatever. Dude, it's all good. So we walk back down to the bank
Yeah.
and walking kind of along this driftwood pile. And I look down, and between the driftwood pile and the boat, where I had just tied it up,
Yeah.
so clearly I had stepped over this spot.
Yeah.
I would have seen if anything was there. I look down, and I see this footstep.
Dude, and here's the
And-
crazy thing about the footstep. Like looking at my phone, it's a wide foot. You can see it's a wide foot. And you can see it's not the most enormous foot you've ever seen, but the patterns on the toes are so defined. I mean, this foot wasn't this print hadn't been done long ago.
Yeah, and it was super. And I should have taken my shoe off and stepped next to it just to
Yeah.
kind of confirm the time frame.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is that it seemed to have, I know some people have a flatter foot.
Yeah.
But this had no arch. And
No,
the
no,
heel
no. Yeah.
and the toe, like, it was the same width the entire way across. There was no variation of the foot like a person's foot.
Right.
And so even, let's say it was a person. I don't know how they would have gotten there. I don't know where they showed up, where they came from, where they went, but it went out into the river. And this is the Yukon River in Alaska.
And how
this
cold is that?
Probably below 30 degrees.
Really?
Super raging current, really deep, really fast, really cold river. And so I'm convinced there is zero chance that there was another human that had been there for I don't know how long. But there was no other evidence whatsoever of anyone being there. And so the fact that my buddy was convinced there was someone there, we were being watched, he was super spooked the whole time.
You feel
and
like
then we walk back down, and I look down,
Yeah.
and this footstep is right next to the boat. And it just
Crazy.
literally gave me goosebumps immediately.
So you said something that intrigued me, that the village believes in these.
Yeah, so basically what the deal is, and part of what fascinated me about it so much,
Yeah.
is that nobody is willing to talk about it. They consider it to be bad mojo.
Yeah.
And so Bigfoot goes by many names. In the South, in the swamps, they call it the skunk ape. In the Northwestern United States, they call it Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Well, in Alaska, I don't know about coastal or or Eskimos, but the inland natives, they call it Nicolina.
Okay.
And Nicolina is not a name that you say
you don't
out
just run
loud.
around saying it.
And especially not after dark around the campfire.
It's like Beetlejuice. You don't say
Yeah.
it 3 times.
And I would say it, and people would seriously get offended and walk away and not talk to it. They'd be like, no, they'd be like, it's not funny. Just quit asking about it.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to talk about it, which of course made me want to talk about it more.
Right.
'Cause I wanted to know. I was like,
That's
why is
intriguing.
how come every time I say this, somebody gets weird? I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? Like,
So did anyone in that village eventually tell you what they thought about it or
So-
what they know?
So some of the old timers are very strict about the fact that they don't talk about it.
Right.
Some of the younger generation kids are willing to talk about it. And I've heard stories of families of Nicolinas.
Really?
Of an adolescent Nicolina. I've heard multiple different people speak of the same one with different characteristics. And part of, I believe, the bad mojo in it is that a lot of people have stories where, for example, if they were out hunting and they killed a moose or a caribou or even a beaver or something, and it got away, or they didn't necessarily find it, or they didn't respect the meat or didn't respect the animal.
Yeah.
They come back and their boat is untied and floated 2 miles down.
So it's almost like a Mother Nature a karma.
Right, like there's somebody out there kind of keeping
nature.
track to make sure people are doing things,
Keeping the
doing
balance.
things right. Yeah, and there's some other stories that I feel like it might be bad mojo for me to share specifically. So
Really?
I'll keep a couple of those to
Okay.
off the air.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of people. We'll share little bits of information and also tying back to this general area of where I was.
No
Because
way.
after this, I kind of, it came up.
And so people are like,
And-
oh, that area right there. Yeah, that's usually where you have like sightings or whatnot.
Right. And so it turns
Oh.
out quite a ways later, there was an elderly woman in the village
Yeah.
that apparently this is a very small village, apparently caught word that I was, telling the story or asking these questions. And she showed up at my cabin really upset that I didn't warn her or that I didn't let her know what was going on. This was her cabin. She lived in this cabin for like 40 years, and it became too difficult for her to live out there. And her husband was gone, so she moved into the village where life was a little bit easier and abandoned the cabin. So nobody had lived there for a really long time.
Way.
But the reason, she confronted me about it is she had a lifetime of interactions with this
You
elusive
gotta be
being.
kidding me.
And so I got to sit down in this old woman's house and hear some of her stories,
Oh my god.
which will send a feeling down your spine.
We're done. We're done with that.
The quickest example, you walk out to a tree at night and hang your glasses on the tree. You turn around and come back and your glasses are gone. There's nobody else around. There's nobody like pranks, like things disappearing, interesting, small and weird things kind of going missing from your boat.
What do you think about that? What do you think? Like, how is there even a Bigfoot or a Yeti or whatever you want to call these things, but still has not been caught as in a full body, right? That you haven't got the bones of it. You haven't got what is it? What is that?
I feel like somehow there's a being that deserves to be elusive, and I've always said if I were to capture this being on camera, I would never share it and I would destroy the footage.
Yeah,
And
I think a
would not
lot of
let
people
it
think
out.
like that.
And I think that maybe if it has been captured, it wasn't
Same.
released because if you've made it this long remaining elusive, you deserve to remain elusive. And I think it's that same
Holy
belief that some
smokes.
people say about aliens, that it's hard to believe that we're the only things out there.
Well, yeah,
It's hard for me to believe, especially in a wild place like Alaska, the millions of acres of land where nobody's ever been. You run across a bear, a moose out there. It's never heard a gunshot. It's never seen a person. It's never seen a vehicle. It's never heard, it's that wild out there. So I think it's actually not that far off to think that there's other beings out there, but I never actually believed it until I literally looked down and I was like, whoa,
holy
this
smokes.
is a spooky one.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, you told me one of the stories before. I'm not even gonna say it, but I'm saying you told me a story that I was like, holy smokes, that someone actually accidentally hunted one.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
That's one of the stories we'll keep off
Yeah,
the air.
yeah, yeah.
Through the ages, there's things that have happened, and there's a reason why
Why they don't
people
speak
won't
of it.
talk about it, because there's the pattern of bad things that happen,
Crazy.
so people like to keep it on the DL.
So all right, so that's our Bigfoot. That's crazy. So what else is there? I know
So,
you've seen a lot of stuff.
I have, and I've seen some things in the sky. Every time I see something in the sky,
Yeah.
I think, oh, military testing. Oh, whatever. There's so many other things going on.
Yeah.
I can think of, maybe an unidentified object, but that doesn't mean it's alien. There's a
well,
million other things that could
Strange Things 1, I believe it was one of the podcasts. I talked about how I had a sighting with what I obviously it is a UFO of some sort, but it might have been military testing. It might have not been. I don't know. I'm terrified from the movie Fire in the Sky.
Oh yeah.
The scene of the guy getting pulled, and then just the images that they recreated of him getting dragged. All that stuff just always is just disgusting, right?
Yeah.
Like the thought is gross. And so I've had that fear, like I would hate to be that. And then I watched this freaking show on Netflix with this guy Encounters or something like that, and he's a weird dude, man, but like slightly convincing, where it makes me even more uncomfortable. Like I get nervous to talk too much about this kind of stuff because I feel like I'm gonna start having sightings and I don't want to see this shit.
Yeah. Well, and that's I feel like it's easy to be skeptical because there's a million other things it could be, but until you really feel it, and a lot of my stories do involve being in the woods and being in the nowhere.
Yeah.
I got kind of a short one that happened to me, and this was actually in a building. I used to work for a television studio. It was kind of a home shopping network.
Yeah.
And it was operating out of an old bank. And this bank had been closed. I believe it closed down in the early 70s. Yeah. So this building sat vacant for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And then this guy came in. It's like, oh, we're going to start this TV studio. And he cleared out the bank. And so there was all these bays with these weird spiral staircases and all these long hallways and offices. It was kind of this weird old building, built, I don't know how long it was in operation before it shut down. But basically, we had probably 50 employees in this building. And there was a whole call center and, all these cameras and all this set up. And it was, basically a home shopping network. Yeah. Well, there was an armed security guard at the door at all times. And there was a big, huge safe. And the security guard would sit at the door and he'd lock up the building at the end of the night. So basically, at the end of the night, it was, I want to say it was like 4 o'clock in the morning was when, because we aired all across the country. So we would wrap out. Everybody was done. The call center would clear out, and then we would go in the back and shut down all the camera gear and shut down the graphics and all the computers. Right. And so I was the last one there, or I believe I was the last one there. Anyway,
so you thought.
I was closing down the building. I walked back in this hallway, and I'm just shutting off all the lights in the offices, and I'm heading out. And I grab my keys, my bag, and I'm getting ready to head out. And I'm walking down this hallway, and I see this girl. Maybe 4 years old.
No.
She was not a ghost. She was not translucent. She was standing right there, maybe 15 feet away from me.
You
I said hi to her. I waved and I said hello. I see this girl. She's kind of wearing, weirdly, like kind of almost a petticoat, kind of an older dress. Yeah. So she was kind of dressed up. And I'm like, didn't think much of it. I said hi to her. And then I walk out, close down all the lights and everything. And I close down the studio. With this. And I walk out to the front of the old bank where the security guard is waiting for me at the door. So I get to the door, and he's like, all right, let's lock up. You're the last one here. And he goes to shut down. I'm like, no. I'm like, there's somebody else here. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's clearly somebody working upstairs or something because somebody's daughter's here. Yeah. I'm like, there's a girl here. I just saw her like 2 minutes ago. So clearly someone else is here. Don't lock up the building yet. Let's check it out. So he's like, no. He's like, parking lot's empty. There's 2 cars out there. And I'm like, no, there's somebody. So I didn't believe him. I'm like, I wasn't spooked at all. I see this girl. It wasn't weird.
Well, yeah, because it's not weird. It's just like like if you just saw a kid, you're like, hey, no. Some guy left his daughter up there. Right. He's probably working. She's running around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or, wife dropped daughter off. He was bringing her home. Whatever happened. Right. Basically, I see this girl. I say hi to her. I walk out. And the security guard is like, seriously, like, quit messing with me. Check it. So I step outside the building and I look in the parking lot. There's 2 cars. Yeah. My car and the security guard. I'm like, well, that's weird. I'm like, but seriously, there's somebody here. I'm like, it's not funny. You're messing with me. Like, whatever. There's clearly somebody here. Let's check it out.
Can't leave that little girl in there alone.
And so he went with me. We went upstairs. We went downstairs. We checked the back. We swept the entire building. We walked every hall. We checked every office. There was
yelling for her and everything.
Yeah, we were like, oh, anybody here? Hey, we're locking up the building. We're checking it out. We go back and we check all the security cameras. There's probably 30-something security cameras in this building. There is no one in the building. There is no cars in the lot. The building is completely empty.
I wish they saw the cameras were you in the hallway.
It was super weird.
Dude,
and it was, I was just convinced that the security guard was just messing with me to see if he could get me. And I'm like, clearly somebody here. You can't lock somebody in here overnight. Like and there was clearly no one in that building.
Well, at what point did you realize you might have just seen a ghost?
I didn't realize it until when he was like, oh, I guess let's, he didn't believe me, but he's like, whatever, we'll check the building. Yeah. I didn't believe it until we checked the very last hallway. And I walked that whole building and I'm like, we're clearly, somebody is sitting here like burning the midnight oil. Somebody's finishing their work and they're sitting in their office and they, there was no doubt in my mind that somebody was still in that building and their daughter was there, and it was not weird until we were walking out of the dark building and realizing there was absolutely nobody in that building.
Crazy.
And it was
Crazy.
yeah. So it hit me right as we were locking the door and walking out, as I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like this building's got a lot of history. This building sat empty for
exactly.
decades. You know, there's obviously a lot of things happen here.
Oh, dude, it's crazy, dude.
But it threw me off.
You know, it's funny when I was in 6th grade, we did this 6th grade field trip. They do it. I went to Male Elementary School in San Fernando Valley, and we do this 6th grade field trip. It happens every year, and you go to San Diego for 3 days or 4 days or something like that, and you go do your thing. And in my room was 4 close buddies. One of them, I think 2 I still can reach on Facebook, right? They're just buddies here and there now. But it was me, a kid named David Frugal or something like that, Ramon Oliveira, David Beck, and one other kid. I can't remember the name. And so we're all staying in this room, and I'm always fall asleep early kind of kid, and wake up early, fall asleep early. And I fell asleep first, and I woke up to the whole room crying. All the kids are crying. All the boys are crying. They're crying. Dude, imagine me waking up like, what's everyone crying about? Like, dude, we just saw a ghost. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, no, seriously, it was a big black figure standing over me, the one who was asleep. Me, right? So I'm like, no. They're all like, dude, the face they make, they were just like terrified. I'm talking screaming, crying, trying to get someone to come in to help. All of a sudden, freaking one of the chaperones comes in there, and it took like 2 or 3 chaperones to shut them all down, to like get them to stop crying. And the same answer was like, there was someone in our room. It was a big dude, and he was standing over Vince. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm scared out of my mind at this point. I'm thinking like, what does that mean? Am I gonna die soon? Like, you start thinking like, as a kid, I'm 6th grade, right? I'm thinking like, dude, what was that? The Grim Reaper? Like, things like that were in my head. Like, what was that? And I remember reading some story back then where if the Grim Reaper's at your head or at your feet, it means different things. And so now I'm fucking scared, dude. And it terrified me for years, thinking like, what did that even mean? When you have 4 young kids, all 6th grade, that's the age where you can tell what's real, what's fake.
Right.
And all,
or if they're all pulling a prank on you.
Right. No, they were fucking terrified out of their damn minds, dude. Out of their minds. Until this day, I'm going to hit up my buddy and ask him if he remembers that, because everyone was freaked out. And from then on, I've always been scared of ghosts. Like, I don't want to see one, dude. It's like, and what's funny, I've never thought of it, that it would be a real person, like the way you saw a real person. So yeah, you're not scared.
Well,
it looked like a real thing.
Yeah, I always figured you see a ghost, then it's like, it's like translucent.
Transparent.
It's like,
Yeah, I think everyone does, right?
It's a ghost.
That's what the movies make you
but I was
believe.
like, that's not what I saw, you know?
Right.
And it was, yeah. So I never. That's why at the moment it wasn't spooky in the slightest, because I never,
Barf, dude. That makes me just uncomfortable. I hate. If I talk about it with my wife, she can't even sleep. She won't even be able to sleep because she don't even believe in it. But if I told her that story when I was 6th grade, she'd just be like, no, because she knows I don't lie. I have no reason to lie. Like, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I've experienced. And it's weird, right, dude? So you believe in ghosts?
Well, I mean, I believe in a lot of things I didn't believe in, because
Yeah.
I've seen a few too many examples of things that I cannot explain, and not necessarily that I think I know what it was to this day. I have no idea what it was, you know. And
I think it's scary that it was a little girl.
Yeah, that was it was a weird one, and yeah, I mean, she seemed happy.
Oh, God.
There was nothing weird about it.
You just don't know what happened back in the day.
Yeah.
It might have been something from back. And her dress, her outfit was. It can be time period a little bit way earlier, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. So
oh God.
That's when. But I didn't put that together till later. I'm like, why would a little girl be wearing a petticoat?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's not.
It's
that's
funny,
not weird.
man, because someone like you, who I mean, anyone who meets you is like, oh, he's normal, right? Can say something like that, and some people you'll shut them off. They'll be like, hey, he's crazy. Well,
yeah,
this guy's
exactly.
talking about ghosts. Like, I was so embarrassed about the fact that I saw some kind of thing chasing me, right? And it took a long time for me to just be like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna tell the truth. I saw something chase me, but like, some people were just like, you're lying. I'm like, no, dude, I've never been the type to make some shit up like that. I can give 2 fucks about. But all of a sudden I get chased. I want to tell you, I got chased with some weird ass shit that made no noise. That's what fucked my head up. No fucking noise, right? So that's why I was like, what was that? There's nothing that we have today, not even a fucking drone. The best drones we have, they make noise. The Predators that they use in the military, they make noise. They have to go way the fuck up there so people don't hear them. But this fucking thing was like 100 feet in the air and following me, making no noise, dude. Scared the fuck out of me, dude.
Like, for how long? Were you on
Bro,
foot?
for probably about a half mile because I started sprinting. You haven't heard the story?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
my God.
Dude, it's funny. So I'm doing, and the guys who are listening now, you guys are hearing the story again. Yeah, I'm doing land navigation in the middle of the night with the military, and I have one of the farthest points. It's me. I'm the farthest point. I find my point. I'm excited about it, but I'm still a little spooked because I'm way out in the fucking middle of nowhere, and there's no one for some reason has a point near me. Because sometimes you'll just, you'll overlap each other accidentally, have the same point, whatnot. No, it's just me. And as I'm doing it, I don't know why I got the feeling to look up. I looked up, and there's evergreens in Tacoma, Washington, right? I mean, if you go, like, by the base, there's all these evergreens. They're about 100 feet in the air, right? That's average, which is what they tell us, right? Something like that.
Big tall trees.
Yeah. I looked up and saw this fucking thing with 5 lights over my head, and it's about 100 feet just above the tree line, making no noise. And I'm thinking, like, all right, so I'm blinking my eyes a little bit, thinking, like, that's a plane flying over, and I'm just seeing it wrong. Then I'm like, oh, it's probably just the stars. I'm seeing that wrong, right? And then I started, like, I'm not seeing this wrong because I still see the outline kind of it behind. You'll see, I see that it's not part of the sky. It's something, right? And so as I start to kind of like, all right, this is kind of weird. I'm trying not to spook myself out. I try to put my paper away, and I look up as I'm walking away, and it moves. As I move, it's moving and making zero fucking noises, bro. Like, I'm talking.
Was it like right above the tree line or way up
right
in the sky?
Above the tree
like
line.
how?
No, right above the tree. Like, if I had a rock, I probably could have hit it. That's how, like, it wasn't that fucking far, dude. I mean, 100 feet in the air. I can tell it's something, but it's so dark up top. I can't really define what the shape is, but I see the 5 lights, and I see as I move, the 5 lights move with me. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's definitely fucking something. And I'm thinking, like, oh, dude, this is whatever. You're your head. You're full of it, right? So I keep walking. I look up, and it keeps moving. And at that point, what flashes through me is all the fear I've ever had in the fucking heavens in my chest. And I thought, like, oh, this thing's about to suck me in. I saw, like, a flashback of fucking
Firefly.
Fire in the sky.
Right.
And so I thought, like, oh, no. And I screamed. I swear to you, I screamed, oh, fuck, no. And just ran, dude. And sprinted as fast as I could to get to a main road. There's all these dirt roads. And I'm trying to get to a dirt road because right now I'm in the thick of it, bro. I'm in the middle of this shit. And as I'm cutting through and fucking falling and tumbling and losing my military gear, I look up and I run into another guy. And I'm breathing. He goes, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing, dude. I'm good. What do you mean? And I look back and it's gone. And I was like, fuck.
What?
And so then I try to find my paper that I need to turn in. It's gone. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not going back there. I just went. I told him, I said, I'm sorry. I didn't. So I failed that day. I had to come back and this is a whole whatever. But dude, that was my experience with fucking being chased by some fucking. And I thought, like, man, maybe the military's testing something. Bro, this isn't 2005. Dude, we haven't had. It's 2015, 17 now, and still nothing that's 100 feet in the air that makes no fucking noise whatsoever.
Right. So did you go back and tell everyone
Fuck.
about it,
Oh,
or did you keep it to
eventually-
yourself?
So it was one of those things. Do I get punished for losing that paper by just saying I lost it and I never tried to go get it? Or do I explain the truth? And I told them the truth. And they made me do push-ups. They're making fun of me. Everyone's like laughing their asses off. And I'm like, well, fuck. I'm sorry. That's exactly what happened. And so half people still didn't believe me that I was just full of shit. I'm like, no, dude. Like, I can tell you God's honest truth. Like, that's what I saw. Well, whether it was an alien or it was just some weird-ass fucking no clue. So I can't tell you to this day. Yeah.
Well, that sparks another really spooky story I got.
Let's hear it.
So, wow, yeah. So I'm in Utah,
Yeah.
in the desert with about 8 of my friends. We went out, big camping trip, pretty wide group of people.
Yeah.
I would say in that group there was the people that would never ever believe in any of this.
Yeah.
There was the people that are kind of spooky and all
Yeah.
about it. You know, it was an interesting group. You know.
Yeah.
And we're out there, and it's the middle of January, so it's pretty damn cold.
Yep.
We got a big fire going, so it's there's no moon at all. It's like pitch dark, and we're sitting by the fire, and everybody, the fire is so bright, that's kind of all you can see. And all of a sudden, just out of absolute, we're all sitting around the fire, and out of nowhere, we see kind of what you're describing.
No,
But
shut
the
up.
thing is, it was. I want to say it was round, but it was not turning or spinning. There was lights all the way around it.
Yeah.
It was moving pretty quick, almost like it was over us.
Yeah.
But it was not making any noise, and it was moving like pretty slow, and it was heading kind of away from us.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even realize, like, for some reason I was just so drawn to this thing, and I look around the fire and no one says a word. It's not even like, oh shit, do you see that?
Yeah.
Everyone just looks up and just gets up off their little, stumps or whatever we're sitting on and just starts following it. And we all start walking, the whole group of 8 of us.
Yeah.
And we're just walking, and we're just following this thing.
Why? Is it because everyone knows this is something weird?
We just were like, this is super weird. We got to check this out. What is this?
Yeah.
And so we started following it. And so it's, still going pretty slow, and we're kind of walking, and then it picks up speed, and it starts going further and further, and it goes towards, we're kind of at the top of the canyon. So there's a couple 1,000-foot drops, way off the edge. And so we're kind of at our campsite heading towards this big drop. And we're just glued to this thing. And at one point I look over and I see two of the people next to me are dragging their feet through cactuses. We're not paying attention. We're such in a, we're just like, oh my God, what is this? I've never seen anything like this. What is it? But nobody's like, oh my God, this is crazy. We're all just glued, just quiet, silent, just eyes wide open.
That's
and
scary.
The whole group of us are just following. We end up getting to the edge of where this drop is, and we all stop. And everybody's we just stand there and we watch it. And it goes from moving very slowly to moving fast. And all of a sudden, it changes trajectory on like a dime.
Yeah.
So it goes about, I'd say a 50-degree turn.
Yeah.
Without gradual movement.
Yeah.
It just stops, and then it turns, and it starts going straight out over the canyon. And everyone still silently, we're just watching, and all of a sudden, it goes out and it stops above the next canyon wall. So you can kind of see there's a really deep canyon, and the light from this thing is lighting up the canyon walls. What? So it's pitch dark, and you can see down to the river. You can see the canyon walls. You can see the river at the bottom, and this thing is lighting up the whole world. And then it goes out kind of over this ridge, and it drops down while spiraling. So the whole time it was going straight. And then we see this thing go spinning down, and it drops behind the wall. And so we see the light. All of a sudden, the light that we see disappears, but you can still see the light on the canyon walls behind.
Yeah.
And so we're watching it go down, disappear, boom, gone.
So it lived it lived down there.
So it's still the whole time. There's covers military testing, whatever. Oh, alien. Nobody knows what to think. We hadn't even had a chance to talk about it. And I turn around, and I'm like, "Where's Joe?" One of our group was gone. Dude, I'm dead serious. We're all standing there on the edge of this rock, and we're like, "Wait a minute, seriously." He was obviously with us. We're in the middle of a conversation. He was just telling a story or whatever by the fire. We're like, "Where's Joe? Where's Joe?" And we're immediately, everybody's like, what the hell's going on here? Started freaking out.
Where'd he go?
And so basically we start screaming, Joe, and there's nobody else camped there.
Yeah.
It's actually a campground.
Yeah.
But it's an empty campground. There's only 12 sites in this campground, and we're the only ones there. We're screaming at the top of our lungs, Joe, and it echoes so far. The sound travels so good.
Yeah.
It's freezing cold in the middle of the night in the Utah desert. Sound travels really well. We're hearing our echo, nothing. We run back to the fire, start screaming, looking at he is literally gone. So in this group of 8 people, there's 2 or 3 people who are like, oh my God, he must have ran off and fell down a cliff and broke his leg. He's hurt. We need to help him.
Yeah.
He's hurt. He's injured.
Yeah.
We got to go find him. You know.
I'm stunned right now.
And then two of the guys are like, no, dude, something spooky happened. He's not here right now. He's gone. And I was convinced. I'm like, dude, I'm still not trying to say that was aliens, but I'm like, I don't know what we just saw, but through following that light distracted us to the point that no one realized he was gone. We don't know if he disappeared from the fire, if he disappeared halfway walk. Nobody knows what happened. But so basically 10 minutes go by, 20, 30 minutes go by, and we keep going back to the fire. About an hour into this, we go back to the fire, and we come to the realization that we're all wearing gloves. We're bundled up in gear. It's freezing cold in the middle of January, and we're standing by the fire to stay warm. We're like, dude, I don't know how far away from the fire I could be for how long. It's cold. He's freezing, dude.
Yeah.
Joe's and so we're like, he's legitimately in trouble. We need to help him. And so it ends up kind of being a split. Half of us are like, no, dude, something happened, and he's gone. There's nothing we can do about it. Hopefully he's coming back. I don't know where he is. I don't know where he went, but he's clearly not here right now.
Dude.
Well, the other half of the group, he's like, you guys are out of your minds. Our buddy is hurt in the desert. We need to go get help. We're going to get the park rangers. We're driving to town. And so they're getting ready to load up in the car, and we're talking about it. We're like, dude, no, man, we chill out, dude. We're not we don't need to go there. Something weird's happening here. We need to. So basically, absolutely no exaggeration, 2.5 hours go by. No sign. So we get in our cars and we start driving around in circles with our high beams, shining lights everywhere.
Yeah.
We're honking the horn. We're screaming, Joe, Joe. Everybody's yelling. We split up. 3 people go one way, 2 people go the other. We're scouring the area.
Yeah.
We're walking over to the small cliffs. We're shining our lights down. We're looking everywhere. We're thinking, oh, he fell. He hurt. Something happened. And of course, I finally started to be convinced that he was not there anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, he's gone. And that there's
He went for a trip.
We're not going to find him. He went somewhere.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, dude, shut up. It's not funny. Our bro's hurt. We got to do something about this. I don't care if you're being spooked out. You're being irresponsible. We got to go get help. So basically, 4 of the people in our group jump in the car and they start up the engine and they head to town. They're like, we're going to get help.
Yeah.
We're going to cell service. We can call the cops. We're going to find a ranger. We need help.
Everyone needs to show up.
And they're like, if we wait till tomorrow morning, he might freeze
dead.
to death. We need helicopters out here to come and find him. Like, this is, party is over.
Right.
Now it's time for the search party. And we all just have this knot in our stomach. And I'm like, dude, seriously, we're going to start a search party out here? Like, what is this? Is like, it was super intense.
I think I would have been on their side too.
Yeah.
I would have probably done that too, because it's like it gets to the point like I don't know, but
yeah. And so it turned into a really uncomfortable mental battle where like a group of really close friends were on completely different wavelengths.
yeah, 100%.
And half of us are like, dude, you're making a mistake by going to town. And they're like, you guys are being idiots. We need to help our boy. Like, he's seriously out here hurt. Like, we got to do something.
They think you guys just are some inconsiderate fucking assholes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. They think we're like, dude,
exactly.
be superstitious all you want. Dude, we got to help Joe.
And I mean, just the reality of it is like, wait, dude, how does a dude just disappear from the group right now?
Yeah.
And they're forgetting about what you just experienced.
Yeah.
Everyone was just lemmings for a moment.
And at that point, it's like, yeah, whatever. We saw some friggin' light or some weird thing. We'll talk about that another time. That distracted us. We don't know, but they
didn't put two and two that it might be the reason why he's gone.
Right. And of course we were talking about that. And half the group were like, dude.
But they don't want to hear it.
They're like, how weird is it that we just saw the weirdest thing any of us have ever seen? We all just literally blindly, almost like we were on hovercrafts. We're like, well, I can't even feel my legs. I'm walking through cactuses and I don't feel pain. I'm not tripping on rocks. We're just walking, like following this thing. This spooky thing happens and all of a sudden he's gone. And I don't know exactly. It was, probably a few hours later.
Yeah.
We finally come to the realization that like something needs to give. And so we're standing in the circle of the, kind of off from the fire where everybody's tents are set up.
Yeah.
And everybody get in the car. So half the group gets in the car. They start the engine. They turn on the headlights. And I'm still thinking, I'm like, dude, I know I don't feel like I did something wrong by not helping them, but you guys are making a mistake. Like something is weird is going on here. So anyway, they take off. And I turn around to kind of put my hand on the hood as the car's driving, and I look over, and Joe is standing right next to me, looking at me. He's standing 3 feet from me, and he looks over, and he's like, dude, what the hell's going on? Why are you guys freaking out? What's up? Like nothing had happened. We're screaming. We're yelling for hours. We're searching, and he is standing right there. And I'm like, dude, Joe, what happened? Where'd you go? He's like, dude, I just took a little walk over there. What are you talking about? I'm gone for 10 minutes. And I'm like, bro, seriously, that's not funny. I'm like, seriously, where did you go? Take me there right now. Show me what happened. Like, I'm telling you. And he's like, dude, I just walked right over there by this tree, kind of like, and he said he walked over and kind of like sat against this tree. And he didn't really have a whole lot to say, but he wasn't spooked. He didn't seem weirded out. He kind of was just like, dude, I don't understand what you guys are freaking out. So I immediately go and jump in my truck and chase them down. Yeah. Because our buddies are on the way to go get the Rangers and go find help. So I chase them down. I'm like, Joe, he's here. We go back, and he is convinced that he was gone for 10 minutes. And he just took a little walk. Hours went by.
How many hours?
Like
3, 4?
At least minimum 3 hours. Probably 4 hours. A minimum of 3 hours in the freezing cold. We were on full-on search party mode. And he supposedly was a 1 minute walk away from us. He would have clearly heard us yelling. He would have seen our headlights. There's no way that where he explained
he thought it was only 10.
He was like, dude, I literally just walked over there, kind of just, maybe zone out for a minute and walk back. Like to him, he just took a little walk to clear his head, whatever, take a minute from the group and come right back. To him, nothing had happened.
Did he see the light too?
So that night he didn't share any of this with us. Well, later on, when we were not with the group, I started prodding a little more and asking him what happened. And he described the same, like he did see the light. He saw the same thing we did, and he explained it. And, but seemed to me like the way he explained it, the light had nothing to do with he didn't get abducted. He didn't get pulled up into the light. It was nothing like that.
Yeah.
His memory was he was watching it. He sat down against a tree. And his version of the story was he sat down kind of at the stump of this tree and sort of just became the tree for a minute. He was like, I just kind of sat back and kind of sort of just, kind of melted, became the tree, just hung out for a minute, and then I came back to the fire. But you know, as he later on down the road, as I'm asking him more, because I'm like so confused at what happened, he explains to me, he's like, dude, I don't know how to tell you this, but he's like, ever since that night, he said, if you know, this is kind of weird and gross, he's like, but if a woman on her menstrual cycle walks into a room, I know it immediately. His senses, his sight, his smell, all of his senses were heightened to the point, like that was the turning point for him. Like it changed him.
Were you guys on any kind of drugs?
No.
None. Alcohol? A little.
Early in the day. Here's the thing. We went for a hike.
Yeah.
All day. But this has happened like later in the day. It was not like there was no psychedelics involved.
Yeah.
There was also 2 people in the group who have never, ever had a sip of alcohol, never smoked, and they're like the total sober ones. So of course we're leaning on them. Like, hey, are we losing it? Like, is this, you know? So it was definitely.
So what's documented, I guess, in your head? He lost time for about 4 hours. 4 hours.
He basically he lost that. He completely lost that period of time. He had no comprehension. He was not cold. He also didn't come back with like numb hands and cold to like, you know, run over to the fire. He was totally comfortable. He just lost that 4 hours of his life.
So he observed the same thing you guys observed. He just wasn't walking with you guys. He kind of went on to his own. It sounds like he almost became part of that, right? Like whatever was happening, he was super in tune to it, right. And lost himself for a minute.
And I almost to in my personal feeling after that was I still, regardless of the light we saw in the sky, I was convinced that he found either a portal or a wormhole or something opened up. He did not get abducted by aliens. That light may have just been there to distract us. Maybe he left the fire before we ever saw the light. Maybe he was already walked over to that tree before that ever happened. No one will ever really know what really happened. But he was not there. He clearly went somewhere. And he had no perception that more than 10 minutes had passed.
And he came back with senses that are just unheard of.
Like just super, super
Does he still have that?
He still. His hearing, his sight, he doesn't really talk about it.
Yeah, but of course not.
Because it's one of those things. Like, you tell that to some people and they think you're completely nuts.
Oh my goodness.
But it was, the fact that we had such a big group of people with different opinions and different beliefs and different levels of.
Dude, this reminds me of Fire in the Sky so much. It's freaky.
Dude, it was intense, man. It was crazy.
I'm not into
and still the whole time, I'm like, that's the coolest, craziest military aircraft I've ever seen in my life. But I still didn't think it was like anything that.
Yeah, but for that to for this guy, and then this guy well enough to know that he's just full of shit. But like, for this guy to all of a sudden have this ability is strange, and it's obviously something happened, something extraordinary.
Something happened, and
right.
I don't either. He doesn't know, or he's not willing to talk about it.
Right.
It is entirely possible that he experienced more that night than he was willing to share with any 100%. Of us. But, we all took away a very different understanding of the exact same story. And I'm pretty sure if you were to ask these other 7 people the same story, it would be pretty much the same story. With the exception of the fact that half of us refused to believe that something weird was going on until he came back.
Yeah.
But the moment that I will never forget is the feeling in my chest that we were about to send out a search party. And I looked over, and I think I even said to my other friends, like, I can't believe we're doing this. And I, put my hand out, as the car is driving by. And I didn't see him walk up. He was just standing right next to me, and, nothing had happened.
God, I am not going to be able to sleep tonight.
Dude. So I got no idea. I got no explanation for what happened that night, but that's what went down.
And he told you he can sense when a woman's on his menstrual cycle?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. What a crazy... You know what I mean?
It's wild.
Oh God. Well, that's it. I'm done. We're done with you. This is the end of Strange Things 2. And dude, what an awesome time. Dude, we'll have to do this again. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of requests for more crazy stories. Again, just appreciate you being here. You obviously know this is just my podcast. There's no real rules to it. We just put whatever's on there. It's whatever's fun and cool. So I appreciate your time, man. All you guys listening, go check out some of those sponsors. You know who they are. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. I'm going to have to try and find a way to get some sleep tonight because this was insane. I appreciate you, bud.
All right. Well, yeah, it was nice hanging with you. And, maybe I'll come back after I get my new mattress and tell you how it is.
There you go. Later.
I did it.